Hi there, this is Beth Green, otherwise known as Granny Rocks.
And yes, this is James Maynard, otherwise known as Sweet Baby James. Welcome to Lighting the Way, Granny Raps and Rocks.
And we have another new system, another new system, and I think it's actually working. So the reason we put up a banner in the beginning saying that we're coming on in a minute is that we've discovered that there is a different delay on YouTube than on Facebook. So we just have a banner up. And so when we start our show, you can just take a breath and I'll play the piano for, 30, 46 seconds, and here we are. So.
We are live on Facebook.
And
we are waiting to be live on YouTube.
Okay, it's probably there, but we can't tell. Okay, guys.
Oh, we already have a comment. First of all, Catalina says, good evening, and sends a heart of love. Thank you, Catalina.
Good evening, Catalina. So tonight I'm going to talk about a very important message in my thinking is how do we change the world? What is the key?
Indeed. Inquiring minds want to know.
Yes. Would you like to refresh on YouTube? See anything?
Yes, we're live on YouTube as well.
So today, I read a news article that struck me, that the coral reefs, which are actually living, there are scientists who are putting speakers down with sounds underneath the water to try to encourage the coral reef to regenerate. We have a couple more comments.
Oh, yes. Amy says, hi, you too, and sends
hi,
a couple
Amy.
of hearts of love. Back at you, Amy. Thank you so much. And Todd says, hi, Beth and James, and he sends a heart of love.
Thank you.
Back at you, Todd.
So.
And Amy says, looks great. Thank you for the feedback.
Yeah, my goodness.
We got it going on.
We do. We seem to have it going on. I hope we did from the beginning, if anybody actually saw it from the beginning. So, so they're trying to put sound underwater in order to encourage the coral reefs to regenerate. That is what I call repair, right? We are trying to repair the damage that has been caused by human beings. And then you read, we are looking for all kinds of ways of removing microplastics from the human body, and we know it's already in the ocean and the fish and so on. That's more repair, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And as you know, when people are traumatized, let's say you have a child who's growing up in a family where the parents are really stressed.
I know that one.
Right. Maybe they're alcoholic or drug addicted and they're struggling themselves. And how many years of therapy and antidepressants and who knows what, when we try to help people to gain some kind of well-being. That's more repair.
Yes, it is.
So, oh, look, we have another friend from...
Oh, yes, our friend from Nepal,
yes.
Robbie, sends a message to us in Nepalese.
Right.
Well, greetings back to you, Robbie.
And see
there's the
translation. Okay, hello.
He says hello.
Hello back, Ravi.
Hello back to you, Robbie.
And by the way, if you're on YouTube, you can chat with us too by just clicking on the live chat and typing away. And of course, you can please put your comments in on Facebook. So, what I'm talking about is we are doing repair, 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 repair. We are trying to repair the ecosystem. We're trying to bring back plants, animals, trees, all the environment.
Mm-hmm.
And we have another friend.
And Tracy says hello and sends a heart of love.
Thank you. Hello to
Tracy.
you. So here we are, and we are trying to repair. Now, we all know that it's better not to break something
Right.
than to have to repair it, right?
So true.
Especially when it comes to something like 1,000-year-old trees or,
Oh my God.
you know, and also human beings, because it takes so much to repair somebody. We can be broken in a minute, you know.
And then take a lifetime to repair.
Exactly. I mean, it's the same thing if you have a terrible fall.
Like Humpty Dumpty.
Humpty
They couldn't
Dumpty.
put him back together.
Exactly. So I started thinking about this issue. And we're trying to catch up, trying to figure out how are we going to repair this? How are we going to repair the weather? How are we going to repair the economy when the insurance rates are going up because of global warming?
That's
You
right.
see, it's like it's very, very difficult to get any kind of balance. So I really was thinking about this, and it occurred to me that the key, of course, is to not damage to begin with. But how are we creating so much damage? Why are we creating so much damage? It's not just from the external point of, oh, you've done this or that. But I mean, what is underneath all of this damage?
Please, pray tell.
Well, what occurred to me is that we exploit rather than support. And I'm going to explain this to you because if that is the cause, then supporting rather than exploiting is the cure. Let's do the opposite. And I want to
Right,
explain
right.
this as clearly as I can. First, I want to give you another example from human history, a very dreadful example. During the time of slavery, not that there is no slavery anymore, but when it was, we have another, hello.
Oh, Elizabeth says hi there and sends a heart of love.
Hi there, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you. So during the time of slavery, there were people who finally were able to outlaw the slave trade. Now, something very interesting happened. In those countries where they were importing a tremendous number of slaves early on, the treatment of slaves was like, throwing out the garbage. You know what I mean? It's like no care, nothing whatsoever caring for these people, throwing them in these horrible slave ships. People died just on the way over, and then they died, and they calculated how many years, you could use a slave before he or she would die. And that was it. Who cared, right? Because it was cheaper to replace than even to repair.
Wow.
So there's the replace rather than repair thing. Now I'm talking about let's not break it, but I just want to finish this point. Now in the
That
United
happens with planned obsolescence with automobiles and trucks.
Oh,
as well.
absolutely. Our whole society is based on toss it because it's more expensive to repair than it is to replace it. Now, this same concept you could see in the American South, which was developing slavery a little bit later. Guess what? The slave trade was abolished, and they had to keep the slaves alive.
Oh my.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Keep the slaves alive so they could keep trudging. And there was a difference in the way slaves were treated because they could not be replaced. Now, doesn't that make you kind of sick to your stomach?
Really?
It makes me sick to my stomach. So now, every being, everything needs support to survive and to produce. What we are doing to the soil, I think we all know this, is we are depleting the soil. The soil from which our food is growing is degraded, and therefore we're not getting as much or as healthy crops as we did before.
Yeah.
And there are people who are out there trying to replenish the soil, who are trying to repair the damage that we have done to the soil so that we can get the food that we need. So this is another example, you see, of this concept, because we believe that it's okay. This is the way we have been conditioned to use things up and to use them, to exploit them to the greatest degree possible. Let us exploit the soil. Let us exploit our workers. Let us exploit everybody and everything. And what happens is everything is degraded. Have you noticed how you feel in today's world? I do. I notice the stress, how upset people are, how our society is
Showing
degraded.
how much people feel unsupported.
Exactly. People feel unsupported. People feel exploited. They do not feel supported. And then, of course, they're looking for someone to blame, and it's usually some other poor person that gets the blame, or some migrant or something. Of course, we have a world where people are traveling across the world to try to escape from conditions at home that we collectively have created. And now we're trying to figure out, well, what are we going to do with these people? You know, we can't just throw them out like the trash. But of course we are throwing them out like the trash. So, we have not
Or
invested.
keep them from having refuge in our country.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's what I mean. Throw them out like the trash. Make sure they don't get in. So I understand why people don't want competition, or they don't want other people taking up resources, because they do not feel supported. People do not feel supported. Our environment has not been supported. Do you see? This is the key. How can we change our world if we do not change our relationship to ourselves? We don't even support ourselves. How many people have worked themselves to death, or have tried to prove themselves in a manly way and broken every bone in their body, or damaged their backs and then they die young? Or they've driven themselves, put themselves in corporate environments without fresh air, without nature, with a lot of stress and a lot of nonsense, because our approach is, let me use this.
Let me use you.
Yes. What can I get from you? And that is the attitude.
And
that
give you back the least.
That's right. Exactly. So this is, you could say this is capitalism. How do you pay the worker less so you can get a profit?
Bigger profit.
There was a statistic which I read, which I'm sure many of you already know, which is 3 men own more wealth. 3 men in America, as it happens, own more wealth than the bottom half of Americans put together.
Wow.
3 men. Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, and Bill Gates.
Right.
More than half the people. How do you do that? You do that by making sure that you pay them less than you're getting from them. That's the simple. That's how you make a profit. So instead of making sure that people are supported, we're looking at how can we best exploit them. And that includes ourselves. We try to get as much out of our bodies and our minds and our looks and our personalities and whatever we're trying to do in order to get what we can. So we're exploiting ourselves, and we definitely exploit one another. Even, I hate to say this, couples. There's What can I get from you? What can I get from you? What can I get from you? Oh, I met a guy, Mom. Oh, really? What does he do? Right? How much money does he make? What can you get from him? And what can he, and the man looks the same way, and it doesn't matter if you're bisexual, heterosexual, homosexual, trans, it doesn't matter. This cuts across everything. And I'd like you to think for a moment how you also have been trained to exploit somebody. Oh, what can I get from them?
Yeah, how am I going to get my needs met?
How am I going to get my needs met?
How can I get this person or that situation provide for me?
We don't go into it with the idea that how can I support them? Now, I want to go back to my slave option, right? Example. And that doesn't mean that you would be damaged, by the way, by considering supporting other people. 3 blind mice, that's us. See how they run. Okay. We're all caught up in a system. We can't help it. We did not create this system. We were born into this system, but we have not stood up to this system. What was I going to say, James? Remind me where I was.
How you stand up to the system is.
Oh, yeah, no, this would be really good. But I think before I did the 3 blind mice, I was on to saying something in particular. If anybody else remembers what I was up to, please let me know. So if you look at, for instance, race relations in this nation, we have justified using people of different races, different religions, different socioeconomic classes. I remember what I was going to say.
Okay.
And we've, accepted it because that's the way it is, right? I remember as a child, most of the maids were black where I lived.
Same for my family where I lived in Texas.
And I was in New York. So there was an attitude, and you were never going to pay your maid as much as you make. I mean, how could you? You can't pay your nanny what you're making, because then you're not getting more from them than you're getting from your boss. It's like we have to we've got to have the money. And I get that is the system. So what has happened is that young children are brought up in environments, a lot of people who grow up in disadvantaged communities, whatever race or religion they are. And remember, most of the poor people in the U.S. are white. In fact, I remember the statistic, most of the people on welfare were white. But if we do not take care of the people, they are going to be deprived of basic things that they need in order to grow up to be healthy. That, for example, clean water. How many of our pipes have lead in them, and how many disadvantaged communities in particular have had lead in the water? And what does that do to the brains of those children?
It deforms the brains.
That's right. They're damaged. And what are you going to do? They're damaged. Well, guess what? You can't exploit a damaged brain as much as a fully functional mind. Think about that. Everything is the opposite of the way we have been taught. Instead of suppressing people, and the same thing with women, deprive women of education. Now, if a woman wants to stay home and take care of her children, that's fine. In fact, women should be paid for that really important job of taking care of kids. But if a woman wants to be a rocket scientist and she's in Afghanistan and she can't get over fourth grade education or fifth grade education, the whole society has lost the advantage of her intelligence. And it's the same thing with that brain damaged child. And we're so, I hate to say it, we are so stupid that we don't realize that the more we support other people, the more they have for us. I want to say that again.
Mm-hmm.
The more we support other people, the more they have for us. I'm going to give you a very concrete example of this now. If you have a nanny who's taking care of your child, and that nanny is well educated, really is knowledgeable about how to raise children, and also has an instinct and a love for kids and a love for your kids, that's the greatest, right? If you are looking for the kid next door, because you want to pay as little as possible, or you need to pay as little as possible to be a babysitter,
Mm-hmm.
you don't know that next door neighbor, teenager, really knows anything about what children need.
Right.
They're not educated. They're not prepared. We haven't invested in them the way we need to in order for them to give to us. And
Oh, yes, and we have another comment. Akil says, hello, Beth and James, and sends a heart of love.
hello,
Thank you,
Akil.
Akil.
Thank you so much. So that is such an obvious example when people are rushing around. Let's say you have a housekeeper and you only have X amount of money. You want that housekeeper to work for cheap. Well, if she's going to work for cheap or he's going to work for cheap, then they have to work more jobs in order to make enough money just to survive. That means they're rushing around your house. Many people, they don't remember things. They can't pay attention. They can't do this part. They can't do that part because they are under so much pressure to do more. See? And now I can't afford to pay more to my housekeeper. I can't afford to pay more to my nanny. Actually, of course, I don't have a nanny. James and I are not raising children. But anyway, this is just obvious personal examples that we see. Now, one of the things that we knew about that in the day about American workers is that U.S. workers tended to be, at that time, more productive than a lot of the cheaper labor in the rest of the world. Well, because maybe they were better educated, or they had more investment in them, or they were taken care of better. But see, what's happening to our workers is they are so stressed. I can see it in every realm that things are not working well, and that people are desperately trying to keep their jobs, but they're not necessarily best prepared to do those jobs because they haven't been prepared, because they're not educated, because they're in a hurry, because they have two jobs, because they're trying to take care of their children while they're working remotely and the dog is barking. I want you to spend a moment thinking about what I'm saying, how the world would be different if everybody that you came in contact was well. They weren't working too much and too stressed. They're not getting sick. I acknowledge that there's been a lot of breakthroughs in science and medicine of new things coming up, but we are not well. With all the breakthroughs in science, people are not well. They're too stressed. We've been poisoned by toxicity. Oh, there's a cancer-causing chemical in the face skin product and all of that. We are not taken care of. No one is, really. So we've been taught to think that supporting others will take away from us. Actually, supporting others is the answer. To create an environment where people are using their minds, are being creative, are helping with the whole. I used to work in corporate environments, and the stupidest things were done. I mean, really the stupidest things. And anybody in the typing pool would know that, right? But nobody's listening to the people in the typing pool, because all you're supposed to do is be a slave. I hope that this program has helped to raise questions in your mind, as well as hopefully answer some. What can I do to change the world right now? I can start supporting others. I can start being less afraid of people needing things, of less afraid of somebody getting ahead of me in some way. It's like, get ahead of me. If you're the one who's going to find the cure for cancer, get in the line. Get ahead of me in school. Get that scholarship. We all need to, and I can't really go on much further because this show is only half an hour. But everyone has potential. These potentials are not being realized. And yet, so much wealth and resources are being funneled up to the people on top. And our problems are caused by the fact that people are not getting their needs met, are not developing their potential. Just think of what the world would be like if every child reached his, her, or their potential and could bring that gift to the world. I tell you, it would be a different place.
And that's how we can change the world.
And we can start with ourselves.
Yes.
Okay, so this was Lighting the Way, Granny Raps and Rocks, and we broadcast every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. And we hope that you like the
Pacific
show.
time.
Oh, yes, thank you. 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. We hope you like the show, love the show. Share this program with everybody you know. We need this change in our thinking and in our consciousness. And you can make that happen just by sharing this program. And follow us on Facebook, subscribe to our channel on YouTube, tell the channel that you want to be notified when we're on, put in your comments, and share, and share the ideas, and think about what I'm saying. And come back next Wednesday for the next Lighting the Way, Granny Raps and Rocks. And tomorrow night, Thursday, at 7 p.m., we have Magical Improvs.
Are we now calling it Magical Musical Improvs?
Yeah, but it's too long. Yes, Magical Musical Improvs, where Sweet Baby James and I play music improvisationally with each other, and people love it, and we hope that you join us. That's 7 p.m. on Thursday. We also have Pacific time, and we also have a network called healingartsnetwork.org, and it's in the post. Read the post, and you'll see where we have all kinds of music and videos and blogs and books, all free of charge, because we are trying to support our world so that we will be better taken care of. Look at the people in the senior residences. Look how they're always trying to get the money up to the top, and the people who are working in these residences are not getting enough money. And what happens to the people in the residence? They're not getting the service. It's so obvious. Let's tell the truth, and let's try to change.
Very good.
Thank you. God bless.
Yes. Thank you for coming. Glad to have you with us. Bye-bye for now.